All right, so let's keep going here and let's start coding some of the enemies to attack the witch. All right, so let's go with the bat since we already have the bat out here. So we've already got about changing the costume of the bat. Let's go ahead and bring out another green flag. We want the bat to not like spin and rotate. So we're going to control the rotation style. So I think that's under motion actually, yep. So set rotation style towards the bottom of the blue category. We want it to be left and right. Again, that'll keep the bat from turning upside down or anything like that. We're going to go ahead and hide the bat. So go to looks and hide because we don't want enemies on the screen right when the game starts. Then let's go ahead and pick a forever block and control how the bat is going to move when the bat does come on the screen. So we're going to have the bat wait. And we're going to do a pick random. So we're going to go into operators and bring out a pick random. And so we're going to have the bats appear somewhere between 5 and 10 seconds. So we'll pick a random time between 5 and 10 seconds. And then what we want it to do is create a clone of itself. So that will be under control, create a clone of myself. Because again, we're going to have multiple bats coming on the screen. So we don't need to create a bunch of bat sprites. We'll just have this same bat keep creating clones of itself. Okay, we have a little bit more code to add to the bat. So let's bring out another when green flag clicked. Okay, actually it's not going to be when green flag clicked. We're going to do when I start as a clone, so that's in control. When I start as a clone, move this around because this is going to be a little bit longer piece of code. So when I start as a clone, we're going to go to motion. We want it to start at the X, so go to XY, and we're going to have it be 0, 0, which is the center of the screen, which might not make sense. Because we don't want to start right on top of the witch, but we're actually going to do something to start it in the center but move it off the screen. I'll explain that when we get to it. Point in direction, so find that choice right there, and we're going to want to do a pick random block right there. So again in the operators, and we're going to do negative 180 to 180, and then so we'll start pointing in a random direction. And then grab a move 10 steps, and we're going to do 300. So here's what's going to happen. The clone is going to be hidden to start. We're not going to see it. It's going to go to the center, but then move 300 steps in one direction, which is going to take it off the screen. So the clones will come in from off the side of the screen, but by starting them in the center, having them point a random direction, and then go 300 steps in one of those directions, that will take them off the screen. So they'll start moving towards the witch. Then we're going to have them show, but they'll be off the screen at this point, so we won't actually see them until they make their way onto the screen. So we're going to put show there. We're going to go to motion and find the point towards, and it's going to point towards the witch. And then we're going to bring out a repeat until block. So go to control and repeat until. What we're going to put here is until touching the witch. So the bat is trying to get to the witch, and the witch is going to try not to get hit by the bat by shooting it with the fireballs. So until the bat touches the witch, we want it to repeat all of these steps. It's going to move, and instead of putting a specific number, we're going to put the variable game speed in here. So move game speed steps. So the game starts at a game speed of 1, so it'll move 1 step at a time, and as the game progresses and gets harder and harder, what will happen is the game will start to speed up. We have it point towards the witch, show, repeat until, good. Okay, then if-then, we're going to put an if-then statement here. So keep moving towards the witch, and then if touching fireball now, because if it gets shot with a fireball, so touching fireball. If touching fireball, we want it to play a sound. So under sounds, if you have the sound pop already, great. If not, just go ahead and do a search for it, P-O-P, and then we can load that in. So we want to play the sound pop until done. We want to change the score by 1. So in the variables, change score by 1, so add a point, and then delete this clone. So that's under control. Okay, now underneath this, we're going to broadcast. So this is what happens in this repeat until is what happens if the bat doesn't make it to the witch. But if the bat does make it to the witch, we then want to run the next piece of code. So we're going to go to a broadcast, and we're going to create a new broadcast. We're going to broadcast lose a life, and then we're going to delete that clone. So you start the game with 3 lives, you lose a life anytime you get touched. Right there. Okay? All right, next for the bat, we need to add just a little bit more code to make it behave the way that we want. And we're going to bring out when I receive, lose a life, delete this clone. Because what's going to happen is in the game, anytime the witch gets hit by any of the enemies that we're going to bring in, we want all of the enemies to go off the screen because we don't want the next round to start with enemies already on top of the witch. So this way the screen will always start clean whenever a new life starts. All right, then we're going to make a small change to the bat's code here. All right, so because we are starting as a clone now, we're going to make a change here with this green flag clicked. We're going to get rid of that on the next costume one. And we're going to do when I start as a clone, because otherwise the bat would not flap its wings if we left it as when the green flag is clicked, because that would only control the bat sprite, not the clone, not the clones. All right, let's go to the witch. We've created a lose a life piece of code. So what we want to do is when the witch receives lose a life, so when I receive lose a life, we're going to hide the witch, so she's going to disappear temporarily. We're going to play a sound, and so the sound we're looking for is scream. So do a search for that. You got a couple. I'm going to go with scream 2. So in the code, I'm going to put the play sound, scream 2. We're going to lose a life here, so we're going to go to variables, and we're going to change lives by -1. So we're going to subtract 1 from the life. Then we're going to put in an if-then statement. So under events, under control, if-then, else, actually. We're going to do if, then, else. So you want the one with 3 sections. If, then, else. So if, we're going to bring out an operator. It's going to be the greater than. So the 3 in the middle, greater than, less than, equal. Bring out the top one, greater than. And we're going to do if the variable lives is greater than 1. Whoops, sorry. If lives are greater than 1, greater than 0, not 1. If lives are greater than 0, then we're going to wait 2 seconds. So control, we're putting this in the then part. We're going to wait 2 seconds and then show. So basically the witch will disappear from the screen for 2 seconds and then come back as long as she hasn't run out of lives. Then in the else part of this code, we're going to broadcast. So basically, if lives are greater than 0, wait 2 seconds and show. But if lives basically are 0, the game's over. So we're going to put some code in. So we're going to bring out a broadcast and wait. Broadcast a new message. We're going to broadcast game over. We're going to call this message. And wait. We're going to put a wait 1 second under that. And then stop all the code, which should be in control near the bottom. Stop all. And put that right there. Okay, so that will cause the witch, when lives get down to 0, to broadcast game over, and then we'll put in some code of what we want to happen when the game is over. All right, we're going to put a little special effect for when the witch gets hit by something. So we're going to go to the ball again. This time we're going to click on costumes, and we're going to get rid of everything except the blue. So keep the second costume, delete the rest. and we'll go from there. So in this ball sprite, let's go ahead and go to code. We are going to do when I receive, lose a life. So find the when I receive, lose a life. What we want to happen is we want the, it'll be easier just to show you. We want to go to the witch. We want to show. It's going to be like a little effect that you will see here. Then we want to bring out a repeat until block under control. And then repeat until touching the edge. So in the blue section, touching the edge. We want it to move 10 steps. So these, this effect will have these things shooting in different directions until they touch the edge of the screen, and then hide. So when they touch the edge of the screen, we're going to want them to hide. Okay. Next thing, we're going to go to green flag when green flag is clicked. I forgot to mention we should name this one explosion. All right, so when green flag is clicked, we're going to want to hide it. So under looks, hide. We're going to set the size to 5%. We're going to bring out a repeat block. And we're going to repeat this 72 times. And for motion, we're going to bring out the turn clockwise. We're going to do 5 degrees. 72 times 5 is 360. There's a reason for that. And then create a clone of myself. And now what will happen is when the witch gets hit by a baddie, she's going to broadcast lose a life, and then this effect will happen. So I'm just going to wait here until a bat comes on the screen. It may just take a second here, but you'll see what happens here. I'm not going to shoot the bat. I'm going to let it hit me. And there you go. You saw how those balls shot out. 2 seconds. Now she's back. And the game will start over, and you'll notice I've lost a life right there. Okay? All right, so we're good with that. All right, let's make a few more enemies now. I'm going to move the bat over for just a second. Click on it. One thing I'm going to do too, I'm going to make the bat a little bit smaller. So let's go ahead and under looks, we're going to set size. Put that right at the top under when I start as a clone. And let's do like 75%. Those bats are just a little too large. Okay? All right, but now we're going to make some new enemies and just basically not have to repeat this this code you see on your screen for all of them. We'll just make some tweaks to them. So if you right click on the bat and click duplicate, okay, it's going to create an exact copy of the bat. We're going to name this though, we'll call this one monster. And let's go into the costumes, and we're going to delete all of these costumes because this is not going to be a bat. It won't let us delete the final one until we add another one, but let's choose a costume and start to type in Frankenstein and bring that out. Now you can delete the bat, and then go ahead and bring in a couple more. So there's Frank A, Frank B, Frank C. I'm just going to bring all of those in. So we've got 4 costumes here, and we're going to want to rotate through those costumes. All right, so we're going to just make a couple changes to the code now for the monster. So where it says move game speed steps, right here, we're going to want this monster to move a little faster than the others. So I'm going to pull this game speed out, and I'm going to grab an operator, the multiplication operator, and put it in here, and then put game speed back in there, but then times 2. So the monster will move basically twice as fast as the bats will move. And again, as the game speed increases throughout the game will get more difficult. We don't want these guys to appear quite as often though. So where you see the when flag clicked, forever, wait, pick a random 5 to 10 seconds, we're going to slow that down a little bit. So we're going to get another wait block under control, put that above the pick random 5 to 10 seconds, and we're going to wait 20 seconds before we have this happen. So basically every 20 seconds, Frankenstein will pick a random 5 to 10 seconds to appear, or the monster, whatever we want to call them. Okay, so that will change how that one works. Now let's go ahead and copy the monster. So right click and click duplicate. So now what we're going to do is a different costume for this. So this monster number 2, let's immediately change the name so we don't get confused. This is going to be a dragon. Okay, with the dragon selected, go to costumes and let's delete all of them that we can, and then do a search for dragon. Okay, so we're going to use this Dragon 1A and Dragon 1B right here. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to do a search for Dragon again and pick the other one, Dragon 1B. I'm going to delete the monster here and have these two with it. All right, let's make a couple changes here to the code here. Let's start with the costume. We're going to make a change here so that the dragon will seem to spit fire. We want it to stay a little bit longer. So we want to do go to looks, and you're going to choose the switch costume instead of next costume. I'm going to pull this code out and just get rid of it and start over. So I'm going to switch costume, Dragon 1A. Then I'm going to bring out a wait block. I'm going to wait 2 seconds. And then I'm going to bring out another switch costume. And this one's going to be Dragon 1B. And then we're going to wait 0.5 seconds. So another wait. And this one we're going to wait 0.5. So basically what will happen is the dragon will spit fire for a really brief period of time and then switch back to the other costume. Okay, we're going to change the movement of the dragon. So at the moment, everything is moving directly towards the witch. We're going to change a couple pieces of code, going to add a couple pieces of code to the dragon. All right, so in the dragon, we're going to take the game speed times 2 steps out. I'm going to take the operator out and just put game speed back in. So we're going to have the dragon move game speed steps, but we don't want the dragon to move in a straight line. We want the dragon to kind of curve towards the witch. So we're going to go to motion, and we're going to find the point towards, put that above game speed, and change that to witch. So point towards the witch, and then grab a turn clockwise, and we're going to change that to 80 degrees. And that is going to cause the dragon is going to come in kind of like a circular route and get closer and closer to the witch. All right, we are going to, I just realized I made another mistake. We'll fix that right now. Let's fix it in the dragon first though. So for the dragon where we have the wait 20 seconds, I'm going to pull that out and put the wait random 5 to 10 in. I want to put this wait 20 seconds above the forever. For the dragon, I'm going to change it to 10. Let's go back to the monster, and we need to fix this here as well, otherwise it's not going to work right. So we're going to pull the wait 20 seconds out and put it above the forever, and then inside that. Okay, let's go back to the monster code and let's duplicate the monster again. Let's immediately rename this monster Ghost. Let's go to the costume for the monster. Let's delete as many of them as we can, and then let's do a search for Ghost. And you can see there's 4 Ghost costumes there. Let's keep picking that until we pick the A, B, C, and D. One more. And then let's delete the monster. So we have the 4 ghost codes right there. Okay, now let's make a few changes here in the code to the ghost. So let's go to this forever next costume. We're going to change that to 1 second instead of 0.1 seconds. Then we are going to add some code to the if touching fireball area. So underneath where it says play sound, we're going to add in a repeat. So under control, put in a repeat. We're going to repeat it 100 times. I don't want that change score and delete cone inside the repeat. That repeat should not have those in there. And then under looks, find the change. It's going to say change color effect most likely. We're going to change that to ghost. And that's going to cause the ghost to sort of slowly fade away when it gets shot by one of the fireballs. Change this wait block to 10 seconds. That's above the pick random one right there. All right, one more sprite that we're going to create here together. And we've got all these enemies here. Let's bring out somebody that's going to help our good friend the witch. So let's copy the monster code one more time. So right click, duplicate. We're going to immediately name this one to Hippo. Go into the costume area. Do a search for Hippo. And there's Hippo 1A and Hippo 1B. We're going to want to add both of those. And delete all of the monster costumes. So we just have these two. And we're going to want to add something to these. We're going to add a little text to them. You should make your text black. As far as the size goes, go ahead and you can change this in a second. But basically the hippos are going to give us an extra life. So once you edit the text, you can resize it so it fits right in there. Let's make sure that the hippo is centered. Yeah, it's good to go. So put extra life on one and then some sort of funny like don't shoot me message or don't fireball me. Oh, let me do black for my color. Don't fireball me. Again, click away from it, and then you can resize it. All right, that looks pretty good. Let's go into the code for the hippo because we don't want the hippo to hurt us. We want the hippo to do good stuff for us. So first of all, find where it says point in direction. It's negative 180 to 180. We're going to do negative 180 to 0. Next costume, we're going to change from 0.1 to 1 second. Change lives in the code here. We're not going to change the score. We're going to change lives by 1. So we're going to add 1 to the amount of lives that we have. Change the spawn rate right here. We don't want them to come too much, from 30 to 60 seconds. So now what's going to happen is if the hippo touches the witch, then if wait a minute, that's not right. Okay, so for the hippo, we're going to change a little bit of the code here. First of all, we're going to take out that game speed again and the operator, get rid of it, and the hippo's just going to move game speed steps. We don't want to shoot the hippo. We want the hippo to run into the witch. So we're going to pull the change lives out. Leave the delete clone, because if you shoot the hippo, it's going to go away and you're not going to get anything for it. But the hippo is going to try to run into the witch. And if the hippo does run into the witch, we want to change the lives by 1. We don't want to shoot the hippo. We want the hippo to run into the witch in order to increase the lives. All right, and last but not least, I kept telling you that we can make the game more challenging as it goes on, the higher your score. So we're going to do that in the which category. We're going to add one piece of code here. So we're going to bring out the set from the variables area, set game speed. So basically, the higher your score gets, we want to make the game play faster and faster and faster. So we're going to have the game speed increase as the score increases. So we're going to go to the operators, and we're going to grab the plus operator, the very top one, and put it in the value there. We're going to grab another operator, the dividing operator, and put it in the first bubble. And so this is basically going to say, take the score, so grab score and put it in the very first bubble, divide it by 100, and then add 1. And what this will do is it'll make the game get progressively more and more challenging, because some characters are being controlled by how fast the game speed goes and even multiplying it. So the higher the score, the more speed that you and the characters will have. You can play around with this number 100 to see how it impacts it. If you make it lower, the game will get faster quicker. So you can play around with that once you have this in here to see how it goes. And that's pretty much it. Oh, let's add a little bit of music. I wanted to add that last because I don't want the music going crazy. It drives me nuts. Okay. So let's go ahead, and so you can see here how things are happening. Here's the ghost. I'm going to shoot the ghost. The ghost was not supposed to disappear quite that quickly. There we go. The ghost was supposed to fade away like that. Good. All right, so let's go ahead and add one last piece of code here. When green flag is clicked, we're going to add some music. So let's put a forever block out there. So put a forever out there, and we want to play some music in our game that's got a little bit of spookiness to it. So go under sounds, or actually, yeah, go under sounds and do a search for cave. Here's what cave sounds like. So go ahead and in the code for this, bring out the play sound cave until done. And now, when you start the game, you'll play that lovely, lovely music. All right. Good luck. You've been doing a good job with this one. And go ahead and look at Google Classroom at some of the changes I expect you to make for it now that you have basically the game all set up. Good luck to you.